Anti-derivative Jill.
I'm anti-derivative Jill, and joining me on this epic journey is Tygerstripes. I
Hello.
yes, hello.
Hey.
Hello and welcome to A Year's Journey Through Middle Earth, Book 1, Chapter 6.
The Old Forest.
Daddy says he's gonna tell Gandalf where they've gone if he shows up, because this whole time Frodo has been worried that Gandalf hasn't appeared yet. But they continue, and they go to the Old Forest with their little ponies. Before they get to the forest, though, they encounter a gate that Merry has to unlock. He closes it again, and this is the moment Merry says, "You have left the Shire and are now outside and on the edge of the Old Forest." We're out of the Shire.
I have a clip here that's from the book. After riding for about an hour, slowly and without talking, they saw the hedge looming suddenly ahead. It was tall and netted over with silver cobwebs. And since spiders figure so large in The Hobbit, rather than wait until the third volume, I wanted to mention here that I understand that as a child, Tolkien was bitten in South Africa by a very large baboon spider in the garden. And some people, of course, believe this to be the reason that spiders loom so big in his monster pantheon. He denied that. He didn't. Some people say that he claimed he didn't remember it. I saw a passage where he wrote that he remembered it, but that spiders didn't bother him, although one of his sons was terrified of them. And I do think that a lot of writers will take the fears of their children and amplify that for characters in books and literature. So there's that. But I had never known that he'd been bitten by a really big spider as a small child. That would have to be something that I think would stick with you subconsciously, even if you denied it frightening you as an adult.
Definitely. Spiders are gonna make more of a return in the story. Tolkien inserted spider imagery because his children were afraid of spiders. Is that what it was? Because
Well,
I
he
was.
said himself specifically that the incident with the big spider in South Africa when he was really a very small child under the age of 3, that it didn't really impact him, and that he did not lay that
Mhm.
as the explanation for his writing about giant spiders, but that he did have a son, and his son was deathly afraid of spiders, but that Tolkien himself would pick spiders up that had landed in the bathtub and take them outside, and he really didn't have it. And that isn't fear. If you can do that, then you're not afraid of spiders.
I don't even touch spiders. Have to get a jar if I want to be nice.
Yeah, I don't pick them up either. I did get a bite some years back, probably 5 years ago now, and I'm pretty sure it was a brown recluse, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
No.
I don't even know at
Well,
what
at
point I
least
was bitten. I've got no idea at what point that spider bit me. I just know that's what it was. You can look them up, different kinds of spider bites online, and they're all different in the way that they attack your body. That's how I know it was a brown recluse, even though I wasn't aware I was being bitten. There's
I'm
some
glad
gruesome
you're okay.
details. I will omit them.
Okay. But did you have to get medical treatment for that?
Do you know, I called and they said, "Oh, yes, you must come in." And I didn't go in. And afterward, I spoke to people who had been bitten by black widows. And they said, "Yes, I went in and they just gave me a antihistamine and it cost me $5,000." So I'm glad I didn't go
Oh
in.
my god.
Yes, that's
That's like an
hospitals for you.
expensive.
Yes,
That's an
that's
expensive
that's
medicine.
ERs for you.
But as we're leaving the Shire, we're gonna be leaving the Shire for my our background also. So we're entering the Old Forest.
The old forest.
Yes, and Mary's leading them into the Old Forest and warning them what's going to come. Mary says, "But the forest is queer. Everything in it is very much more alive, more aware of what is going on, so to speak, than things are in the Shire. And the trees do not like strangers. They watch you. They are usually content merely to watch you, as long as daylight lasts, and don't do much. Occasionally, the most unfriendly ones may drop a branch, or stick a root out, or grasp you with a long trailer. But at night, things can be most alarming, or so I'm told." This is one of the first dangers that they're encountering besides the Black Riders themselves stalking them. And the trees actually do move. And can surround strangers and hem them in. In fact, long ago, they attacked the hedge. They came and planted themselves right by it and leaned over it. But the hobbits came and cut down hundreds of trees and made a great bonfire in the forest and burned all the ground in a long strip east of the hedge. And after that, the trees gave up the attack, but they became unfriendly. There is still a wide, bare spot not far inside where the bonfire was made. So they take their ponies through the forest, but they can already tell, they can feel that they're being watched with disapproval, deepening to dislike and even enmity. So that's some pretty harsh hatred that the trees have for anybody who dares to
I
invade their
reckon
space.
I reckon a tree has a long memory, and they remember the bonfire. They almost certainly remember that it was hobbits that did it. And
Yes,
yeah, they're
yeah,
they're
that
they're s- they're still pissed off.
goes beyond well beyond dislike or distrust. This is hatred. And Pippin kind of freaks out a little bit. He says, "I'm not going to do anything. Just let me pass through, will you?" Because the trees are closing in on them. Mary has to tell him that's not going to help. Of course, I'm missing a lot of dialogue here because it's a lot of navigation. Like you said, Tolkien paints a picture of exactly how to walk through this forest or exactly what's going to happen, how lost they get because the trees are forming the path. They're telling the hobbits where to go. And so
Yes, it's as if the force is literally rearranging itself to push the party to the right and downwards.
the trees conspire with each other.
And they take insults personally. If you're talking about them casually or or singing about them and you insult them, you can
Yes.
tell there's a ripple that moves through the forest. And there, and everything gets darker and gloomier and more uptight.
Yes, and I don't know how they do it, but the air starts to get hot and stuffy. And they're closing in. The trees are closing in, and everybody can feel the ill will of the trees. And Frodo tries to sing, but as you said, all it does is piss the trees off even more.
Yes, his song ends in an insult to the forest.
Yes, yes. Mary says they do not like all that about ending and failing. I should not sing any more at the present.
It's like his
And
admonition earlier to Pippin, I should not shout if I were you. It does more harm than good. And Merry's very hip because he lives in that part of the world and he understands the forest to a certain extent.
he does. He does. He's showing them the way at this point. He knows this land more than Frodo, and Frodo is just he's not having this anymore. He's actually considering turning back, but instead he realized that's not possible. And they do find a clearing at the top of the hill, and Mary says, "Okay, if we go this way, we're gonna get to the Withwindle River, but we don't want to do that, so we're gonna try to not go there." But as they're going, as good as Mary knows what he's doing, they end up there anyway. And they are completely, totally lost. They've, after an hour or two, the text says, they lost all clear sense of direction. They knew well enough that they had long ceased to go northward at all. They were being head off and were simply following a course chosen for them, eastwards and southwards, into the heart of the forest, and not out of it. And so they're at the banks of the river Withywindle. Oh, who says this line? Who made the track, do you suppose, and why? I'm sure it was not for our benefit. I'm getting very suspicious of this forest and everything in it, and I begin to believe all the stories about it.
Pippin, no, it's Pippin, yeah.
So this is the other mysterious thing. So it seems the trees can make it hotter. I can understand that because they get close together and friction me. But then sleepiness seemed to be creeping out of the ground and up their legs and falling softly out of the air upon their heads and eyes. How do you think that's possible? How are the trees putting them to sleep?
I have personally leaned up against a tree and kind of felt that power. There's a desire when you're sitting under a tree to just sort of want to nod off. I think it's because they're sort of slow beings to begin with. They grow slowly, they live a long time, they don't move, but they're still very much alive. There's something going on here too. There's some sort of, they're all, the entire forest is bent on killing them. They have
Yes,
the trees have a plan.
they do. So I have a question. Do you think that Mary invents the lawcat language when he says, must have nap. It's cool under the willows. Less flies.
I don't know what that language is.
No, it's the meme cats, the ones that
Oh, the
say
lolcat.
I
Oh, sure,
I
sure.
can
I
has
can has
cheeseburgers.
cheeseburger.
Yes,
Sure.
must have nap.
Yes. Well, there are
Less flies.
languages that don't include the present tense in just everyday language, like Russian. So in Russian, you don't say I am sleepy, you say I sleepy. The am is just a given.
Oh, okay. I
Yes. I good
but
dog. I faithful. Walk far. That is a lovely observation.
I just thought it was fun. Mary's been on top of everything, and then the sleepiness just knocks him out cold. And Frodo says, "We got to get out of here." But then he starts to feel sleepy, and he collapses also. Frodo says, "We can't have a nap yet. We must get clear of the forest first." But the others were too far gone to care. Beside them, Sam stood yawning and blinking stupidly. Suddenly, Frodo felt sleep overwhelming him. His head swam. Merry and Pippin do exactly what you said. They lie against this ancient willow tree
And just conk
and
out.
just conk out as the trunk opens up and begins to swallow them. That's a very malicious tree. And Sam starts to fight this. So I would like if you could read those paragraphs about this, because he gets to be a hero here.
Sam sat down and scratched his head and yawned like a cavern. He was worried. The afternoon was getting late, and he thought this sudden sleepiness uncanny. There's more behind this than sun and warm air, he muttered to himself. I don't like this great big tree. I don't trust it. Hark at it singing about sleep now. This won't do at all. He pulled himself to his feet and staggered off to see what had become of the ponies. He found that two had wandered on a good way along the path, and he had just caught them and brought them back towards the others when he heard two noises, one loud and the other soft but very clear. One was the splash of something heavy falling into the water. The other was a noise like the snick of a lock when a door quietly closes fast. He rushed back to the bank. Frodo was in the water close to the edge, and a great tree root seemed to be over him and holding him down, but he was not struggling. Sam gripped him by the jacket and dragged him from under the root, and then with difficulty hauled him onto the bank. Almost at once he woke and coughed and spluttered. Do you know, Sam, he said at length, the beastly tree threw me in. I felt it. That big root just twisted round and tipped me in.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. And that's great work by Sam. If Sam had not saved Frodo, they would have, or if he had not had the willpower, or does Sam have a certain capability of not being manipulated?
And then
I
I
don't.
have a really beautiful illustration by the brothers Hildebrandt of Old Man Willow. They give him quite a face. It's vaguely terrifying. I would not
Oh my
lean against
gosh,
a
look
tree
at
with a
that!
face like that.
As this is happening, it's not just the tree swallowing Merry and Pippin, it's laughing at them. It is enjoying torturing these hobbits. And this would have been the end of their adventure if Sam hadn't said, "Hey, wait a minute. We shouldn't be this sleepy. Let me grab the ponies." Oh, look, Frodo's trapped under the tree. Frodo, the text says, but Frodo, without any clear idea of why he did so or what he hoped for, ran along the path crying, "Help! Help! Help!" It seemed to him that he could hardly hear the sound of his own shrill voice. It was blown away from him by the willow wind and drowned in a clamor of leaves. As soon as the words left his mouth, he felt desperate, lost, and witless. He really doesn't know why he was screaming for help. Like, who is he screaming to? Who's going to come to help? That seems pointless. And yet, nonetheless, someone answers. And we meet. Oh, hold on just a minute. I should have a picture for this too. Well, we're going to have a whole chapter with him, so I want a picture for the background.
This one's a little fuzzy in resolution, but it's
Yeah,
also by
that's.
the brothers Hildebrandt, who did calendars for Lord of the Rings for many years. And back in the day, this was our imagery. This is what we had. We didn't have movies. We had illustrations. But it's beautiful because it's just as they met him. He's carrying the leaf of water lilies for Goldberry.
So, well, but it doesn't work because I can't see the lilies. Hold on, I need to bring this into Photoshop.
I
Oh,
also found a meme, but it's got the F word in it.
so this is a bit of a Tom Bombadil intermission here.
Yes, Tom Bombadil, as well it should be. He's a mighty character.
Against all odds, even though Frodo didn't know who he was yelling for, someone did answer. And it was, of course, Tom Bombadil. Wait, where's your picture?
Oh, I dropped it. Yours is
Oh.
much better.
Oh, no, but I just wanted to see it. I guess I can wait till next time.
It's got the F word in it. I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll have Scotty for one chapter next.
Oh, that's
next
true.
week-
Well, then that's
next
much
month.
more appropriate next time. Yeah, Frodo seems to summon Tom Bombadil by the mere act of shouting for help in Tom's neighborhood.
That's right. In order to free Merry and Pippin, all Tom Bombadil has to do is sing. He just sings at the tree, and the tree listens and obliges.
Oh, no, Tom breaks off a limb and beats the hell out of that tree. It's more than just a song. He gives it a thrashing.
Such a thrash.
Oh, it deserves one,
so
too.
definitely. Tom Bombadil is the pimp. A pimp slaps the tree. Amending my
Oh,
statement.
my gosh. He's such a curious character, and he speaks usually in rhyming meter. And I just had to know, so I went and did some research, and this is my best guess. I believe the meter that Tom usually speaks in is Alexandrine or Alexandrin. It's a type of metrical line. It most commonly refers to a line composed of 12 iambs. And when you count how Tom speaks, he speaks in groups of words of 6. So I believe he's speaking in Alexandrian meter.
I'd have to analyze all of his language. I never thought about him speaking in that kind of rhythm.
Yeah, it's not iambic. It's Alexandrian because it's 6, not 5.
He says you should not be waking. Eat earth, dig deep, drink water, go to sleep. Bombadil is talking. And then he also saves Merry. And then he leads them through the forest. It's no longer any kind of issue anymore. He can walk right through the forest straight, and they're out. And he sings a song. He sings lots of songs. And he tells them to come home with him, that he has food and they can eat, and Goldberry's there waiting. They'll have a good party. Hey, come, Dreary Doll, hop along, my hearties, hobbits, ponies, all. We are fond of parties. Now let the fun begin. Let us sing together. He continues to sing them all the way to his house. And we are finished with chapter 6. And we're ready.
I'm going to read the last line because
Please.
It's so pretty. And with that song, the hobbits stood upon the threshold, and a golden light was all about them. There's that light source, people, beings as source of light, like the elves.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes, and that is the hint that they're something more.
We are all made of light.
We're made of star stuff. You were saying earlier that Gandalf is a kind of demigod, and we'll talk about it more for chapter 7 as we get more into the lore of Tom Bombadil in chapter 7.
Oh, yes.
But I'm wondering if next time I do want to talk about whether he's a demigod or...
I will have to do my research then, because I don't know as much as I don't know as much as I know. I really don't.
I know that he controls a certain section of Middle Earth, but how much?
I believe Tom refers to himself as the oldest.
The oldest, yes.
And everyone agrees that this is true. And that's saying something in Middle Earth.
But definitely more of a conversation when we have more text to analyze next time.
Yes.
But we did it. Thank you so much for taking some extra time to do this.
Well, thank you. It's a blast. It's fun.
But the thing is, there's a lot of imaginative people who have drawn Tom Bombadil, and a lot of people have different ideas of what he looks like.
Oh, the brothers Hildebrandt really put in some effort, and they were paid for it. They were compensated. One of the interesting things that I saw an interview with the woman who did the covers of the original Ballantine books that we spoke about earlier. She was saying that she had done many drawings after that because she really did love Lord of the Rings. And when she did those illustrations, she hadn't even read the books. And she did many illustrations afterward and could never get the rights to release them, which is really sad.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to end on a sad note.
Can we see these images?
I don't think so. I don't think she ever released them. I think she kind of made up her mind, okay, no means no, and I'll move on and do other things. But she did them for herself since she couldn't get them released.
Oh, and in this day and age where fans make art of all sorts and don't ask for permission, I wish we could see those.
Yes, same here. Very much so. Barbara Remington.
Yeah, that is a bit of a tragedy.
That's kind of a crime.
The ring isn't playing too much of a big factor just yet, except for the fact that the ring wraiths are chasing after them, and that it is keeping Frodo young. But he has not yet used it, so he hasn't gone into that era of his journey yet, where he understands its power or sees Sauron. So we're very early yet. We just closed the gate. We just stepped out of the Shire.
Yes. And this is, even though the hobbits all know Gandalf and he is a remarkable person, a remarkable being, meeting Tom Bombadil, that's where I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Toto. That's your, we've left home moment.
Yeah, they even say that walking around was like a dream, when he was leading them around. You can't believe we read 6 chapters and that's how long it took to get out of the Shire.
No, it's a proper tale, a proper tale to tell. Yeah. I did have a look at the foreword, which is Tolkien addressing the reader, and at some point he says everybody has complaints. The only one that I really can agree with is that the book is too short. And I'm like, really? Wow.
The book is too short, and yet we're going to take all year to read it.
I believe we are.
That's all for now, and we're going to continue our quest. Stay tuned.
Namarie.
This is the end. I'm going now. I bid you all a very fond farewell.